It was Christmas Eve, and the town was bustling with last-minute shoppers, eager to find the perfect gifts for their loved ones. Among them was Lily, a fragile girl with an affinity for delicate things and a gentle demeanor that made her seem almost ethereal. Wrapped in a woolen coat and clutching her purse tightly, she wandered through the crowded streets, her steps light and careful. As the evening settled, a chill crept into the air, matching the unease that began to gnaw at Lily's heart. She couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. Glancing around nervously, she noticed a figure that seemed out of place. A Santa Claus standing by a shop window, his red suit faded and weather-worn, contrasting sharply against the festive decorations. The Santa Claus had a peculiar air about him. His beard was unkempt, and his once jolly face was etched with lines of weariness. But what unsettled Lily the most were his eyes, frozen blue orbs that seemed to pierce through her soul. She quickly averted her gaze, dismissing it as paranoia, and continued her shopping. Yet, as she moved from store to store, she couldn't shake the feeling of those piercing eyes following her every step. The strange Santa Claus appeared intermittently, always at a distance, watching her silently with an intense stare. Lily quickened her pace, attempting to lose herself in the throngs of people, but the Santa Claus persisted, always present in the periphery of her vision. His haunting gaze seemed to bore into her, sending shivers down her spine. With each passing moment, panic seized Lily's fragile heart. She darted into alleyways, hoping to lose the unsettling figure, but he remained, an ominous presence trailing her relentlessly. No one else seemed to notice the eerie Santa Claus, or the distress written all over Lily's face. As the town clock struck midnight, the streets grew eerily silent, the shops closing their doors one by one. Lily found herself in a deserted corner, her breaths shallow and frantic. She turned around, and there he was, the Santa Claus, closer than ever, his gaze fixated on her with an unnerving intensity. In a moment of sheer terror, Lily stumbled backward, her fragile frame unable to bear the weight of her fear. As she fell to the ground, the Santa Claus loomed over her, his frozen blue eyes drilling into her soul. "Come with me," his voice echoed like an icy whisper, sending a chill down her spine. With a surge of adrenaline, Lily scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding in her chest. She ran, blindly navigating the darkened streets, the echoes of heavy footsteps following close behind. Tears streamed down her face as she desperately searched for refuge. Finally, she burst into a nearby church, its doors open for midnight prayers. Gasping for breath, she turned around, expecting to see the haunting figure of the Santa Claus, but he was nowhere to be found. The parishioners rushed to comfort her, unaware of the terror that had gripped Lily's soul. Trembling and pale, she recounted her harrowing ordeal. The haunting stare of the strange Santa Claus burned into her memory. Though the townspeople dismissed her story as a figment of an overactive imagination, Lily knew what she had seen. The chilling gaze of a sinister presence disguised beneath the guise of Christmas cheer, a specter haunting her on that fateful Christmas Eve. As days passed, Lily couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that lingered within her. The incident on Christmas Eve haunted her every thought, casting a shadow over the holiday cheer. Her once fragile demeanor had turned into one of constant vigilance, always wary of any hint of the eerie Santa Claus. Despite her efforts to move on, the memories lingered like a persistent nightmare. Sleep became elusive, her nights filled with restless tossing and turning, the image of the haunting Santa Claus etched vividly in her mind. Days turned into weeks, and Lily attempted to resume her normal routine, hoping to bury the unsettling experience. Yet the town seemed to hold a faint whisper of unease, a subtle shift in the air that only she could perceive. One cold winter evening, while walking home from work, Lily's heart skipped a beat as she caught a glimpse of crimson red in a distant alley. Her breath hitched, and a sense of dread washed over her as she recognized the unmistakable color of Santa's coat. She quickened her pace, her footsteps echoing against the silent streets. Each step felt heavy, laden with the weight of impending doom. As she approached the alley, she hesitated, the memories of that chilling night flooding back in a torrent. But curiosity mingled with fear, urging her to confront her fears head-on. Summoning every ounce of courage, she cautiously entered the dimly lit passage. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped her. Then, from the shadows, emerged the figure she had dreaded. A silhouette cloaked in red, adorned with a weathered beard and those frozen, piercing blue eyes. It was the haunting Santa Claus, his presence as ominous as before. "You can't escape," his voice echoed, sending shivers down her spine. With a surge of terror, Lily turned to flee, but her path was blocked. The alley seemed to twist and distort, trapping her within its confines. Panic seized her fragile heart as she realized there was no way out. Desperation engulfed her, her mind racing for a solution. With a trembling hand, she reached into her pocket, grasping onto a small trinket, a delicate snowflake pendant, a cherished gift from her mother. As she clutched the pendant tightly, a surge of warmth spread through her, emboldening her spirit. Summoning her courage, she faced the haunting Santa Claus, her eyes blazing with a newfound resolve. "I won't be held captive by fear," she declared, her voice trembling but resolute. With a sudden burst of determination, Lily hurled the pendant towards the specter. The snowflake, glinting in the faint light, struck the figure directly in the chest. In an instant, a deafening roar filled the alley, followed by an eruption of blinding light. The haunting Santa Claus let out a bone-chilling wail as the spectral form dissipated into the darkness, fading away like mist in the wind. Breathless and shaken, Lily collapsed to her knees, the weight of the ordeal finally lifting from her shoulders. The alley returned to its normal state, the eerie atmosphere dissipating into the night. From that moment on, Lily knew she had confronted her deepest fears and emerged stronger. Though the memory of the haunting Santa Claus would forever linger, she found solace in her newfound resilience, a fragile girl no more, but a survivor of a chilling Christmas encounter.